They're back. Texas Democrats have returned after leaving the state and their jobs for 2 weeks to try to stall a vote on redistricting. The House Speaker has now assigned state law enforcement officers to escort Democratic lawmakers over the next 2 days, ensuring they come back to Austin tomorrow for the big redistricting vote. Joining us this morning is Texas GOP Representative Carl Tepper, who was also on the House committee to redraw congressional districts. Good morning to you, sir. Great to see you here on the National News Desk.
Good morning.
So the House gavelled into session with enough members to make that quorum and actually get some business done. What did you make of this 2-week stall that also meant these relief funds were held up for flood victims?
You know, we're a little upset. Obviously, this has been going on a little too long. But on the other hand, sometimes it's just part of the process. You know, the Democrats have to kick and fuss a little bit, but in the end, the results are going to be the same. As a matter of fact, I think we've improved the maps a little bit. What passed last night were the committee substitutes for the maps that tweaked them just a little bit to make them a little more refined, and we're pretty happy with the product that we put out.
And I'm going to talk to you more about that in a minute, but first you said that this is part of the process, but as we know, stalling business comes at a high cost. I want you to hear what Texas Governor Greg Abbott had to say about this.
If you don't show up to do your job, you'll lose your job. Same thing should happen with regard to Texas House members. If they don't show up to do their job, they should lose their job. I'm seeking to vacate them or remove them from office because they were refusing to show up and do their job.
What's your thoughts, sir? Should they face these kinds of consequences?
It looks like they're going to face these kind of consequences. As far as I know, all of the fines and fees and costs that they've racked up are still on their accounts, and they're going to have to figure out a way to pay for them. And from my understanding, they are not allowed to use campaign funds or donated funds because that would be a bribe. Yeah. And they're really in a lot of trouble on this. It's a huge amount of cost they've racked up, and they're going to have to figure out a way to pay.
I know you were on the committee to help redraw these maps. Tell us the methodology behind that, and also what do you say to those Democrats who were trying to call it discriminatory?
Well, a couple of things. The maps were drawn by outside legal counsel, and, you know, we review them and adopt them. As far as discriminatory, we're not allowed to be discriminatory. We're allowed to draw the maps based on political performance, you know, Republicans versus Democrats. And it's also very important to remember that Hispanics in Texas voted 54 to 55% for Donald Trump last election. So I'd argue that this group of people, emerging Republicans, emerging groups of Republicans, are actually being better represented through these maps than they were in the past.
What do you make of California Governor Gavin Newsom vowing retaliation by trying to extract an equal number of Democratic-leaning districts?
He's running for president. He's trying to get his name out there and his face out there and, you know, show that he's fighting the conservatives and Donald Trump. I think it's ringing hollow and shallow, and I don't think he's going to have a lot of progress. California has already redistricted most of the Republicans out of the state that they possibly can. As a matter of fact, if you visit Northern California, just about every house, and I don't mean every other house, just about every house in Northern California around the Lake Tahoe area has a Trump flag flying from their property. So I think California is starting to maybe shift the other way.
Why do you think that is?
How terrible the policies of Gavin Newsom are and how they've destroyed essentially the Garden of Eden, California, with bad policy.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think specifically, you know, as you mentioned in Northern California around the Lake Tahoe area, that you're seeing this shift right now with Trump flags on lawns?
They've been there for a while, and talking to the residents out there, they're annoyed that people are moving in from the Bay Area and the LA area into the heartland of California and trying to tell them what to do. And so I think it's interesting that Californians are waking up to the bad policies coming out of Sacramento, and they want to make a change too.
California, one of those states that does have mail-in ballots. So if you are a registered voter, you automatically can get a mail-in ballot sent to your house. I know because I live there. President Trump recently said he's going to push for no more mail-in ballots to ensure election integrity. What's your thoughts on this?
Mail-in ballots are cheating galore. They go to a mailbox. Who knows who's controlling the mailbox? When you go to these retirement communities, they show up in mailboxes there. Who knows who's filling them out? Who knows whose signatures they are? And I think it's massive fraud. I've been trying to end them here in Texas. And I think we've made some progress, but I think we need to end them completely and just have motor voter trucks that go out and can monitor these elections and these voters in retirement communities or other communities where these mail-in ballots can be abused.
Moving forward, there's a big vote set for tomorrow. What can we all expect?
We can expect some new maps in Texas. We can expect that these maps will lean to 5 more Republican seats. And I think our voters are going to be better represented through these maps.
All right, Texas GOP Representative Carl Tepper, we appreciate your time with us this morning. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great day.
You too.